everyone, and welcome to the very first episode, podcast, whatever you want to call it, of Purple Donut Podcast. My name is Abby, and I would love to give a huge shout out before I even go any further to all my Youth Institute friends, buddies, and family for helping me come up with podcast ideas for future videos. So, thank you, huge loves and kisses, and I will be talking more about the Youth Institute in later videos. I will also have some of my Youth Institute family coming onto the podcast and just helping me talk about certain topics. I will be talking about a lot of controversial topics, so I will put that out now. Also, to let you know, I'm probably never going to edit any of my videos because why should I? No, just because I'm lazy and I don't want to. But yes, my name is Abby, and I'd like to welcome all you little donuts to Purple Donut Podcast. So these videos will mainly just be me speaking my opinion and how I see things. If you don't like them, I'm not sorry because they're my opinions. And you have your opinions, and I'm not going to make you apologize for believing one thing when I believe another. That's just not right. And if you are a very sensitive person to certain topics such as school shootings or books being banned from school districts, I suggest you don't watch my channel because I do cover a lot of that, and I cover a lot of other things that can be considered very controversial and sometimes even political. So, just like to put that out there now. Now, before we get started, I would like to put out there, I know I look white on the video, and if you meet me in person, you would probably think I was white. But I'm only saying this now because later in this video, I will be talking about people of color, and I will be referring to me and I, because I am technically a part of that community, even though my skin is a different shade than another Mexican's. And I am Mexican. I'll show you the test results. No, I'm joking. But I'm just going to start this video now. So Monday, so I'm filming this on a Wednesday, by the way. So Monday, earlier this week, my English teacher, she gave us an article. She's a really nice lady. I know she doesn't believe what this article said, but she gave us this article, and it was, I'm not sure this was the actual title of the article, but somewhere around there in the general area, but it was Video Games Violent Explained. And I'm thinking, and I'm pretty sure a lot of my other classmates were thinking, oh, this is going to be an article about how video games can make someone violent or lash out in violent behaviors. After reading the article, it turns out the article was about how violent video games are pretty much the main reason behind school shootings. And I found this article so stupid because they were backing up themselves with evidence and support that goes against them. They're like, in this one paragraph, they're like many studies have tested this theory and shown inconclusive, but here's this one study that was proved conclusive. Oh, and Japan did a study, but it proved inconclusive. There was just an article that contradicted itself in its point. And it also made a point of how a lot of politicians are pushing for certain video game laws. I'm like, this isn't gun control laws. Why are you pushing for that? And what I noticed is every time they mentioned a school shooting and they mentioned the person, it was, first of all, sorry, I have an itch on my back. First of all, it was always a man's name. Second of all, they never told you the race of this person. If they were black, white, Hispanic, Native American, they didn't tell you the race of this person. They just told you their name and what school they shot up in what state and city. And it bugged me because I'm thinking in my head, and I knew who most of these shooters were because I've heard of it, and I knew they were all white men. And it bugged me because it gets you thinking when stuff like that happens, because then you realized, okay, well, you're writing this article about how violent video games are the main cause behind school shootings, when in reality there's there are two majorly wrong English at me. There are two really wrong things in that article. The first one being the fact that you're not telling me the race of this person. I'll get to that in a second. But the second thing is you're blaming this person's priorly fucked up brain on something else. Oh, and I do cuss my videos. But like, you're blaming this man's, like, you're saying, oh, he did this but because of violent video games. No, he didn't do it because of violent video games. He did it because he's so screwed up in the head that he actually thought that it was a smart idea to shoot up a school. Don't go defending him. I don't care if he's white, black, Native American, Mexican, Puerto Rican, Cuban. I don't give a shit about his race. Don't go trying to cover up the fact that he shot up a school because he was mentally effed up. He did it because there's something wrong in his head, not because of some stupid violent video game, which only an adult can pretty much buy in the state I live in, at least. And they made that law very prominent. And don't go blaming it on violent video games. He's an adult. He made his choices on his own. Like, no, don't even try to defend him with that BS. Oh, violent video games are the reason why he did that. No, it's not. He did it because he's twisted in the head, because he is mentally ill, as some people would put it. And the second thing is, a lot of articles, what I've noticed is when there has been a school shooting, a lot of articles will only ever say 25-year-old blah 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 shot up blah 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 blah, and it's a picture of him, and it's a white man. If you're online and there's a photo of him, it's a white man. Or 25-year-old Caucasian. They don't even say white. They say 25-year-old Caucasian, blah, 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 shot up, blah, 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 this school and blah, 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 blah. But they only ever mention his race once, if they're white. And I've noticed that not just in like school shootings, but other things, like white cop shoots defenseless black man, and then they make it very prevalent, oh, but it was a black man. It was a black man. Or if one Hispanic does something wrong, first of all, they're immediately named Mexican. And I have a huge issue with that. But that's a whole nother video that I'm going to get into later with my friend Matt. But it's like, when a person of color does something wrong, articles and social media make it very prevalent that it was a black man, a Hispanic man, a Mexican man, a Filipino, Colombian man. But if a white man does something wrong, it's 25, they don't even mention his race, most of them. They're like, 25-year-old James Pickett, pulling names out of a random hat here. James Pickett shot up some high school in Oklahoma. And sometimes even then they just go, first of all, no race in there at all. They don't say he's white, they don't say he's Caucasian, they don't say jack. But if let's say James Pickett wasn't white, let's say he was Mexican, this is what that title would be: 25-year-old Hispanic James Pickett shot up this school in Oklahoma. And I know a lot of people are like, but that's not always true. That's not always, don't fucking try to cover it for your mistakes. And I'm sorry, but you can't just go blaming everything bad that happens on people of color, when in reality, school shootings, some of the worst things to happen in history, just worst things to happen in general, not even history, just in general, are the doing of a white man. And I understand people are like, well, people of color have, and I hate the people who do this. They're like, oh, people of color have gangs and like all this stuff. But it's like, yeah, you're right. there are gangs out there. There are bad people out there. But do you think those people are sick enough to hurt children? Like 95% of the time, no. But school shooters literally go to a school to shoot up a school and harm kids, harm children, harm teenagers, the future of our nation. And if you are willing to defend those people, I think you deserve the same punishment as them. And when I say punishment, I mean you just don't talk to me, don't even, I don't deal with people like those. But that's what I'm saying is like, if a person of color does something wrong, even if it's simple, as small as stealing a piece of gum from a liquor store, they make it as though they held a gun to the cashier's head and beat up a police. But if a white man did that, or just a white person in general, that cashier probably wouldn't have even called the cops. Or they would have, and the cops should have been like, oh, it's all right, Sonny, go ahead. And I just don't think that's right, is that if it's a person of color, they make it as prominent as they possibly can. They pretty much try to drill it into everyone's head that it was a person of color. The reason people of color have a bad reputation isn't because of what we do. It's because of what one single person of color did that society blows out of proportion, which ends up making a bad reputation for all of us. But God forbid social media and the news do that to a white man and make themselves look bad. God forbid that ever happens. God forbid a politician tries and defends people of color if they're not a person of color themselves. Like, kudos to all the people of color who are in office and hold positions in our government. At least we know we have some say in what goes on. But like old white men, God forbid that they help a person of color and say, you know, this didn't actually happen. God forbid you say that that school shooter was a white man in his 20s. A white man in his 20s. God forbid you do something like that. But it's perfectly fine to say a Hispanic boy stole a piece of gum from a liquor shop. And I honestly don't care if it's your local newspaper or Fox 11 News. I don't care. The fact that you're even saying the race of the person just goes to show that you really truly do think that everyone in that race is bad. Whether you say it aloud or through the subtleness of the news. Subtleness. And honestly, it's created, like, me and my friends will joke about things like, because where my school is, it's near a military training base, I think. It's a training base. I don't know. I just know it's military. And so occasionally a black helicopter will fly above our school. And when me and my friends are out in PE, we would joke around and be like, oh shit, ICE is here, get your green card, or oh shit, they found me, and we'd start running. And like me and some of my Hispanic and African American friends, we'd start laughing and cracking up and having a good time. And our white friends, they would laugh, but not as hard as we did, because like they're high schoolers and they realize, you know, that could actually happen. So, and we joke around when we say, oh shit, they caught me, and then we start running, even though we didn't do anything wrong. But we joke about that because we know that there are some police out there that it doesn't matter if we're driving a Porsche with like Gucci on and like $1 million in our purse, they would still pull us over and immediately assume we're bad just because of the color of our skin. And I hate to think that there are police officers out there like that, but I can't deny that there is. And I'm not gonna be like, oh, all white people are bad. No, there are a lot of good white people out there, good Caucasian people, just good people in general, who are like, no, this is bad. No, this is wrong. Why aren't you saying something? And it's mainly because it's like every time we try to fight and prove us wrong, media finds a way to twist it around and make us the villain again. And it just bugs me so much that if one person of color does something bad, the media will throw it out of proportion, make it very prevalent that it was a person of color, and then say every person in that race is probably like that. But if a white man shoots up a school, all they're going to say is 25-year-old James Pickett shot up a school in Oklahoma. They're not going to tell you that he's white. They're not going to tell you that all white people are bad. They're not going to even give you a bad report on white people. They're just going to give you a bad report on him. And I know people are like, well, don't they do that with everyone? But with people of color, there's a very specific way that they do it that pretty much applies how they behave to all of us. And a lot of people don't see that or realize that. And that bugs me a lot. So there are just some things you can't do. Something I know I could try and do is, well, change how people see people of color. And I know that's going to be hard, but I'm just going to say this. Yeah, people of color, there are a majority of people who have done bad things, and yeah, they just happen to be people of color. But don't forget that there are Caucasian white people out there who have done much worse. You just don't realize it because the media doesn't drill it into your head. If you don't think I'm right, just think about it. When you hear the word gang, you immediately think African American Mexican. I can bet that. But when you hear school shooting, you don't even think of the race. You just think of the actual event. Have you ever thought of it that way? I just want to point that out. And just for all of you to know, if you ever just start thinking of it this way. When you're watching the news, whether it's Fox 11 News or Fox in the Morning or whatever news show you watch or whatever society thing you do, look at the title of it and then just think. If you see like gang wars, just think to yourself, what race do I think is a part of that? And I know it sounds really weird, but I'm going to bet your mind immediately goes to a bunch of African American and Mexicans or Hispanic people. And if you see school shooting, your mind's immediately going to go to, I hope those people are okay. Because that is what media has done. That is what the news has done. They have created, no, you shouldn't say created. Well, no, they've created a platform as to when you hear gang war or anything negative that involved even a single person of color, your mind immediately goes to, oh my God, there go the people of color again. Even if it's not exactly that, it's something in that general area. And if you hear, you don't even think about, oh, I hope those business people are okay. I hope that there weren't any kids in those shops around the area. But the second you hear school shooting, your mind doesn't even go to come on, another white dude shooting up a school? Isn't this getting old already? No, it goes to, I hope those people out there are okay. I hope those parents and children are okay. And honestly, I think it's messed up that that's how it is. Your mind shouldn't go to the race of someone. It should always go to, I hope these people are okay. So just think about that. Just think about that. Also, stop blaming school shooters' fucked upness on violent video games. They shot up those schools out of their own choice, not because some violent video game told them to. I just want to make that clear at my final point. Don't even start with me. Okay?